Okay,
Chair
good afternoon and welcome to the Hayward Area Shoreline Planning Agency's December 18th meeting or December 8th meeting. Today, our meeting is a special meeting. We're doing it via hybrid. The purpose is conducting these meetings is to provide the safest environment we can. And pursuant to the Brown Act as amended by AB 361, we have the ability to do that. So for now, and I hope for not much longer, we're going to be hosting these via Zoom. We do welcome everybody that comes here and participates in our meeting. We consider all of our public folks as participants, and we especially appreciate you being here. So there are ways to communicate with us and speak via either public comment or on any subject matter, any of the agenda items we have today. So is it Amanda or Devin on the script, who would like to suggest how a person, a member of the public could address this body?
I'd like to do that, and I'll make sure to welcome everyone. I'm Devin Reef, Principal Planner with East Bay Regional Park District, and today is the December 8th, 2022 Hayward Area Shoreline Planning Agency Board of Trustees meeting. Let me, who may be watching, how to participate with public comment. Public comment may be submitted in one of two ways. You can either send an email to asanders@ebparks.org by noon of today, or live via Zoom. If anyone is on Zoom now, would like to make a live public comment during the meeting, this option is available through the meeting platform. No virtual meeting platform link will let you into the virtual for the purpose of providing public comment. And I don't believe we have any public commenters. Let me just take one quick look.
Okay, well, if they come in late, we'll let them participate.
Exactly.
So, okay, we've called the meeting to order and let's do a roll call.
Okay, starting with Director Marquez, who we understand is not able to be present, so she is absent. Director Hodges.
Present.
And Chair Waspy.
Here.
Thank
you. And we've got a pretty small group here, it looks like. So Devin, could you introduce some of the key tech folks that are here or staffs that are here?
Before I do that, I'd like to give the prospective trustees a chance to introduce themselves.
Pardon me, you're right.
Yes, perhaps starting with Director Duncan.
Hi, good afternoon. Glad to be able to continue to participate in this meeting, and I'm excited to be a part of meeting the challenges that we have with the shoreline. And I was happy to be reelected. Thank you.
Director Henshey.
Hi there, I'm here. Glad to be participating also, and looking forward to be fully admitted to your group here soon. Thank you.
Great. And now I'll introduce some of the staff who make up the Technical Advisory Committee. There's Robbie Perry from East Bay Regional Park District. There's Eddie Willis with East Bay Regional Park District. Have also with us from the city of Hayward, Eric Pearson and Taylor Richard. From Hayward Area Park Department, Brian Lasco with HARD. We also have from Alameda County Mosquito Abatement Control District, Erica Castillo. From the Orloma Sanitary District, we have Jimmy Dang. And from Caltrans, we have Vishal Riam Riao. Welcome, Vishal. Also, I should mention on the call from the city of Hayward is Sierra Cannon. And from the Park District, Chris Barton. I believe that's, oh, excuse me. And then Amanda Sanders is our administrative lead from the Park District. So that's everyone on the call today.
Excellent. All right, well, our first item is public comments. There are no public here that we see now, but if you come in late, we'll give you another opportunity at the end of the meeting. So the first item is the approval of the minutes of the HASPA meeting held on September 1st, 2022. The action minutes are in your packet, and I think we're looking for an approval of those minutes.
I'll move.
We have a motion. I guess I will second. Any discussion at all from anyone on the minutes? Hearing none, please take the roll, Devin.
Okay. Director Hodges
Yes.
and Director Waspy.
Yes.
Chair Waspy. Motion passes. Minutes are approved.
All right, our next item is the City of Hayward project updates. Hayward City staff.
We have no project updates to report.
Boy, oh boy, we should have had the holiday party today. Thanks, Taylor. Our next item is the discussion of the approval of the 2023 HASPA board meeting schedule.
Yes, let me share my screen and share with everyone the proposed schedule. Just so everyone's clear on the meetings to come. So HASPA meets quarterly, and there is a proposed special meeting. So the meetings proposed are January 12th, April 13th, May 11th, which would be a special meeting, August 10th, and November 9th. So is there any thought or discussion about these dates? Any conflicts? This is again the Thursday afternoon meeting time that has been traditional.
I have no conflicts on those dates. Eric, how about you?
Are you asking me or the other Eric?
No, you.
Oh, I
You're
have no
you're
conflict.
the new trustee. We're kind of paying fealty to the trustees at this point.
Thank you. No conflicts, but I was just going to ask you though, what does a typical special meeting entail? Or is that something that's just put in there for, in case we need it, or is it actually something that's scheduled right now?
I'm not sure. I've never had a special meeting on HASPA in all my years, but I bet it's something exciting. Devin, you got any ideas?
Yeah, I can explain. The special meeting in that it's not one of the quarterly meetings. We're going to use that date to adopt the new JPA document. So that's a special meeting just for that one agenda item.
Excellent. That sounds like fun. Rita? You're muted.
I was trying to look to see when the CASA meeting is.
Oh, that's right.
That would be the only,
That's
conflict that I would have.
Director Duncan. That's the end of January, 25th to 27th.
No, I'm looking at the August. Oh, they're just looking at January. I was looking at August. I'd fast forward to August 2023. No, there's no conflict in January or April or May, but I was looking at the August timeframe to see if there was a conflict.
Well, we were kind of hoping to tie up these meetings, all of them, all 5 of them. If I know that's long range planning, but if this, none of these are on. These are all Thursdays. I don't think any of us hold board meetings on Thursdays. If you can do it, I'm more than willing to change. I don't know how. I don't know. I think I like the idea of having all the trustees here, of course, and especially the new ones. So I think if you guys can check your calendars and make sure you can make it, or if you can't make it, let us know, and I think we can move it around a little bit, or I would hope we could.
Okay,
Okay.
that's great.
So tentatively, Hodges is in. Paul, you in?
Yeah, no problem. I was gonna check with Brian to find out on the May 11th, if that's a problem at all for him.
No, thank you. Thank you, Paul. No, everything's that works fine for me.
Okay,
Um,
well, I know in the spring
it's-
you're outstanding in your field, so personal joke.
yeah.
Rita,
The August one would be a conflict. The CASA meeting is August 9th through the 11th. And so I would be probably the only one. And Jimmy would, we would be attending that meeting in San Diego.
okay, well, let's go out on a limb here. I'll speak for myself in saying that as much as we value the trustees and their knowledge of what's going on, I always consider it a great time. We're all so very busy and there's so darn many meetings these days that I hope we have an alternate. I know I have an alternate at East Bay Regional Park District, and hopefully, or I don't know, I'm not going to do your policy for you, but if you can get an alternate, I guess everybody in Orloma goes to CASA, so that may not help. But if just as a general deal, if we have alternates, that might solve a few problems. I know we're all very busy.
And that's fine. I'm okay with that. I mean, life continues. And
true.
if I'm able to pardon myself from what's happening at CASA for an hour or so, I can tune in for an hour or whoever my alternate may be. So it's fine. But, I'm just making note that it is a conflict. That's all.
Okay. Well,
Not to say that you have to rearrange it, if it meets everyone else's, schedule.
okay. Well, as that day approaches, that's put everything off all the time. But boy, that's almost 8 months away. So I think we'll work something out in the meantime. I'm fairly certain we can probably figure this out when we all get in here. Now that we've got 5 board members and hopefully more in the future, we're going to have to be flexible and malleable and make these things work.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the 5 dates listed for 2023.
All right. I guess I will second that motion. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. Devin, we take the roll.
Yes, Director Hodges
Yes,
and Chair Waspy.
Yes. Thank you for taking the roll. Motion passes unanimously, and we'll continue to work on this. Boy.
So at this point, Chair Waspy, staff requests that we move item 5 on the agenda to be the next agenda item with the chair's permission. This will give us a chance to get some updates on Hayward Shoreline projects.
Excellent idea. Let's do that.
Okay, so we're going to proceed with Hayward Shoreline project updates, and I'd like to invite Chris Barton with the Park District to start to address the board.
Great, thanks, Devin. Good afternoon, Chair Waspy, staff members, Director Hodges, everyone. Chris Barton, I'm the Park District's Restoration Projects Manager. I can provide a brief update on the Hayward Marsh project. So earlier this year, our board approved a concept plan and authorized staff to proceed with environmental review of that concept plan, CEQA basically, and staff went through a process of a new CEQA exemption. And this is, if you've heard the buzzword cutting the green tape, there is a working group at the state level that's trying to streamline permitting, and they recently introduced a new exemption under CEQA for large scale restoration projects. So I'm happy to report that the project team was successful in getting that exemption. So that saves a lot of time and money with not having to do a mitigated neg deck or potentially an EIR. So that's great news for the project. The next step is the project team is going to bring a a consultant contract amendment to the Park District's Board of Directors, tentatively scheduled for February of next year. And the scope of that work will include design development and permitting. So we'll spend a good portion of 2023 getting that work done. And hopefully we can expedite some of the permits as well through some of the other state and federal permitting initiatives that are going through. There is some staff training that's involved for some of these new programs, but we're hopeful that we could take advantage of those and benefit projects that come after Hayward Marsh even. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions, comments from trustees?
I'm good.
New trustees? Any members of the public? Thanks, Chris. Great work. Keep it up. I know there's always opportunity, but we got to go chasing for it. And I'm glad we're doing that. So thanks very much.
Great, thank you.
And Chair Waspy, I do have a report to give from EBDA, from East Bay Discharges Authority, on their First Mile project. This is on behalf of Jackie Zipkin, their who couldn't be here today. She sends her regrets. So from Jackie Zipkin of East Bay Discharges Authority, EBDA. Under a grant from EPA Region 9's Water Quality Improvement Fund, EBDA is proceeding with design of the First Mile horizontal levee project at the back of Orlona Marsh, as identified in the Hayward Shoreline Master Plan. The engineering consultant ESA is currently working on the 30% design drawings for the project. It will be continuing with the design process in 2023, concluding with a 60% design by the end of next year. As the design proceeds, EBDA, East Bay Parks, and other project partners will be evaluating governance and funding options for project implementation. On November 2nd, the First Mile team hosted a site tour for the Bay Restoration Regulatory Integration Team, known as BRIT, which included representatives from US EPA, Conservancy, US Army Corps of Engineers, BCDC, Regional Water Board, California Department of Fish and Wildlife, NOAA Fisheries, and US Fish and Wildlife. The tour was very well received, and the BRIT will be providing written feedback next week on permitting questions posed by the First Mile team. So that is the update from EBDA.
All right. Thank you. Any questions or comments on that?
I'm good.
Great. So I thank you for those EBDA folks. They're on it. I guess our next item, if there's no public comments on this item.
Well, let's just make sure that the other TAC members didn't want to share anything.
Oh, pardon me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just in case other TAC members wanted to share any updates.
Okay, I didn't want to be rude, TAG members. We appreciate your input and we'd love to hear from you. So if I forget, raise your hand. I don't see any. So I guess we can move on to the next item, which is the HASPA JPA renewal update.
Yes, and that's an update that I'm going to be giving.
Okay.
So the board adopted on September 22nd, the HASPA board adopted on September 22nd, a term sheet. And that term sheet is now informing the work of updating the new Joint Powers Authority agreement. The Park District engaged outside counsel, the law firm of Hanson Bridget, to advise on the drafting of a new Joint Powers agreement. And working from that term sheet that was adopted in September, there's going to be a similar structure to the existing agreement. There'll be major sections for purpose and mission, term, governance, powers, finance, and miscellaneous items. Staff is also working on a set of bylaws and procedures, which will be a separate document from the JPA itself. Each of these sections is being revised and updated based on current laws and the direction given to us by the board through that term sheet. So there'll be several opportunities for the board and the Technical Advisory Committee to review and have input on the drafting of the JPA. Here's our current schedule. Basically, from November to January next month, the internal drafts are being worked on with outside counsel. The first draft that the Technical Advisory Committee will see will be in February. Then the second draft will go to the TAC in March if necessary. In April, staff at the Park District will reach out to each of the agencies or city attorneys to be sure they are comfortable with the language in the JPA. And then on April 13th, the board will be able to review the draft agreement. And of course, the prospective trustees will be invited to that meeting as well, and there'll be time to comment. And then on May 11th, the attorneys will and staff will take back any comments from that April 13th meeting and turn around a final draft to be adopted on May 11th at that special meeting of the board. That's when the board will adopt the draft agreement. And between that adoption in May and the end of June, June 30th, the 5 governing bodies will approve the JPA and will coordinate that. So that would be the Park District, HARD, City of Hayward, Orloma Sanitary, and Alameda County Mosquito Abatement will each take items to their bodies to adopt the JPA of what's been going on with staff for the JPA. Are there any questions or comments?
Questions, comments from trustees?
You guys broke up just on the very last one. After May 11th, is that going to be the voting on the JPA?
Exactly. After May 11th, between May 11th and June 30th, each of the agencies will take an item to their governing bodies.
Okay, thank you.
I do have a schedule on screen. Let me share it. Thank you, Brian. I meant to do that earlier. Hold on just a moment. Okay, so again, November through January, internal drafts with outside counsel. February and March, Technical Advisory Committee will review the drafts. In April, the attorneys for each of the agencies will be contacted. April 13th, the board will review the draft agreement. May 11th, the HASPA board will actually adopt the draft agreement. And it will then get adopted in May and June. And starting in July, if all goes well, HASPA will have its 5 agency structure.
I have a question. So I'm glad that our prospective, attorneys will be able to review it. So what is the amount of time they will have? Is that a month?
Essentially, it will be a month between the, basically it's a month from mid-March to mid-April. Because we'll need to integrate any edits from this second draft into a public review draft that the attorneys can review. So yes, about 30 days. If we can do more, we will.
They tend to take a little time.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Any other questions, comments from Technical Advisory Committee? Any other staff members, any public? I had a question. So if I know this takes a long time to draft these documents and anything like that, but in this period between now and May 11th, if we had the great good fortune, or if people saw the light and said, we're doing great things, what a great organization, we want to be members, and flood control, and well, I won't name names, but everybody else just said we want to join, would that be as easy as just putting a few extra commas and a few extra names, or would it would we have to redo the whole thing?
I appreciate the ambition of that comment. The outreach to the attorneys would probably be the most important, and I would want that as soon as possible. So if there's potential new members for HASPA, we'd like to be talking with them now. And if you get information from your colleagues at other agencies that we've reached out to in the past that they're interested, we would definitely start talking with them now to get them familiar with HASPA and what we're trying to do. But certainly we welcome new members, and there will be provisions in the JPA document for how to add new members after the drafting, after the adoption of this particular JPA.
Great. All right, it sounds like a project. Sounds like a great deal. We're getting there. Any other comments from anyone? Hearing none, this was just a report, right?
Correct, yes.
Okay, we'll move to old and new business, and the tax in charge of that. So I always get excited when the tax get to make a presentation. Do they have a presentation?
No presentation, but I do want to let everyone know about new business. And then the TAC members are welcome to add on anything that I've missed. There is a tour coming up on January 20th, 2023 of the Hayward Shoreline. And it's something that's being organized by the Government Affairs team at the Park District. So let me tell you a little bit more about that. This is basically at the direct request of Chair Waspy from the previous meeting to encourage elected officials to see the shoreline, learn about sea level rise, learn about the effects of king tides and what future sea level rise might mean to the shoreline. What is happening is that the Park District has been having quarterly legislative tours of different areas around the region, looking in depth at certain topics like wildfire suppression or in this case, sea level rise. And we're using the Hayward Shoreline as sort of a living laboratory. So right now for the morning of a couple of hours in the morning of January 20th, which is the Friday before a big king tide weekend, there will be invitations to all the state and federal elected officials, including some as well as county officials, their staff, and each of the governing bodies of the HASPA trustees, including the prospective trustees, will get invitations to join. It's basically going to be a walking tour. Hopefully we'll have good weather. The agenda is to talk about sea level rise regionally, talk about the state's 30 by 30 program, do some deep dive with staff into Hayward Shoreline projects, specifically the Hayward Marsh restoration that Chris Barton just spoke about. And hopefully we'll get to see, king tides in action, what that means as you take a tour of the shoreline. The idea is to really inform people about not just the effects of sea level rise, but about the climate adaptation projects that we've either have identified in the Shoreline Master Plan or that are happening regionally. This would be a chance to sort of educate the staff of all these elected officials, as well as a chance for people to network and meet each other. So that's all coming January 20th. If you want to save the date in your calendars, you will be receiving a save the date invitation in the next few weeks.
Will that be in the morning or afternoon?
It is the morning. Let me just quickly check if I can give you the time. We're still working out the logistics details where it will start from. Yeah, we're looking at basically 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2 hours or so.
Have you checked the tide tables?
We did. We wanted to get the full effect of the king tides. It's still substantial tide. It's not it's not the highest king tide, but it's more than typical.
Great. Thank you, Devin. Anything else from anyone on that? I guess we'll move to board member announcements. Does any trustees have any comments? Paul?
No, I haven't had time to think about it, so I'm good.
Great. Eric, anything?
I think the camera needs to see Paul's sweater.
That's a good point.
Paul's what?
My sweater.
Better.
For the record, we need to see that sweater.
Oh, the one I'm trying to hide.
Yeah, that one. Thank you.
We had our employees recognition party this morning, and I'm just was dressed for the occasion.
That's all right. Rita, anything?
Yeah, Jimmy, do you have anything to say?
I do not. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we'll wait. All right. No, I'm excited about learning about king tides. I really am.
I agree. I think this is the 20th is going to be really great. And hey, Robbie, are you still around? Oh yeah, you are.
Yeah.
I don't want to put you on the spot, Robbie. Robbie, if you guys don't know, is the new supervisor at Hayward Shoreline. Your predecessor, I could ask him what the high tide in any portion of the bay at any time of the day, at any date of the year, and he'd know. So when can you tell me, or can you tell me a way to find out when the highest king tide will be? I know it's around that period, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say it's like can you hear? Oh, sorry. Hold on, Dennis. So that'll be at 8-9 on that day at 10 a.m.
Oh,
At
good.
8-9. I don't know. I think it's like 2 days later, the 23rd is supposed to be one of the higher.
Okay, great. I'd like to get together with you because I want to get out there. For folks that haven't seen this, I know I go crazy over it because I just think it's so amazing. If you really want to show your friends, and of course this is the Park District's, this is our goal here. That's why we're having this meeting, and we're meeting with our legislators. And as we all know, we've got a new state senator, we've got a new assembly member. You can really blow people away by taking them for a hike out on these fragile levees that we're supposedly taking care of, that's protecting all of the infrastructure that's not that far away. And then you take them out on this hike while the incoming tide's coming in. And I've done this, and it's great. You go, this is really nice. And you can kind of see the tide coming in. But if you go out about 1.5 miles, which is very easy because it's flat, it's very scenic and very beautiful, on your way back, you'll wind up in 4 inches of water. You won't even see the levee. It looks like you're Jesus Christ walking on water, pardon me. But you're walking in 4 inches of water. It's very, very graphic. And the theories are, and I won't get into the theories, but that's what the predictions are. We're going to be faced with that. Levees underwater. And I've been out there on a king tide, when adding the king tide and then a little storm action and wave action, boy, waves break over the levees. They are fragile, and we're in charge of taking care of them, and we can't do it on our own. And as everybody knows, we've got a great master plan that cost a lot of money, but now we need to get people like legislators, or even, and please come to this. I'm not bragging up our organization. We've got an incredible legislative affairs division. We had this problem a long time ago. We got Eric Swalwell to come out, our Congress member. He came out and he's helped us out. He knew exactly, he used to run on the levees. He understood the problem incredibly well. He got us some permits that were very, very difficult to get. We need support. And my dear friend Bill Quirk said we can keep nickel and diming this with grants from small agencies and the SFA Restoration Authority. But he, of course, and I don't know who knows what it's right or wrong, but he said we need the Army Corps of Engineers to handle this issue. It's a big, big problem, and it's coming up on us. So please come to this. It's great to watch people that are in Sacramento. We've had a couple of things in the Park District, mostly related to fire. And you can get the Secretary of Natural Resources, Wade Crowfoot, and his staff, which are really an incredible staff. They're into what they're doing, into helping people out, understanding of our problems, and they've got the financial wherewithal to help us out. So hopefully you'll be there. Hopefully you'll all have a wonderful holiday season, and I don't have any way of making contact. So for other folks, and I hope you all come too. Hey, Paul and Rita, are you guys going to Meek Estate tonight for the holiday deal?
You took the wind out of my sail.
Oh, I'm
That
sorry.
was the only thing I was gonna say. That's one reason I'm wearing this or hiding it. It's the light up the lights. It's the third in our series of lighting up some of our assets, our old buildings, and so I'll buy everybody a drink if you whoever comes.
I'll be there. Excellent.
Before we adjourn, Chair Waspy, let me just ask about the last agenda item, which is agenda setting. Does the board or prospective trustees have anything they would like for the January meeting? We will get a report back. Chair Waspy had asked for a report on algal blooms and fish die-off from the San Francisco Bay, so we'll definitely have that for the future. But anything else on people's minds they want staff to prepare for the next meetings?
If we're running out of stuff, I'm really interested in, only if we're running out of stuff, but I know it's a stretch, but especially Oraloma, who's really on top of the game with horizontal levee. They've done so much. They're so far ahead of the game and so forward looking that I think we're getting into a position here, and Rita, I know I'm talking way out of my category here, and Jimmy, I apologize if I'm saying things wrong. Correct me if I am, but some of the nutrient loads in our bay these days, which they're blaming on wastewater discharges, are getting people's attention, all those fish dying off during the summer. So I'm wondering if reclaimed water, instead of discharging in the bay, reclaiming it, and I know it's expensive as heck, especially if you're on the bay shore, to pump it back to where it's dry and people need it. But I don't know if that's of interest to our group. We've got a lot of stuff on our plate, but I'm always interested in recycled water, because I think anything we discharge in the bay is going to be under a lot of scrutiny from the regional board. And I'm wondering if there are alternatives to what we're doing now. Just a thought.
Okay, I'll agree with your thought.
Oh, no, I was just saying, I'll let Jimmy answer that, that we are, I'll just let him answer.
So currently we do not have any plans on investing into recycled water facilities, mainly due to what you mentioned. It's the economics behind it. As far as the horizontal levee, if we can definitely provide a presentation on that, or provide an update on the construction and where we're at as far as that progressing. And if we do provide a more technical presentation, I'd definitely like to invite Professor David Sedlak from UC Berkeley. He can speak extremely intelligently on exactly what they're researching on the levee, and he can talk about the contaminants that the plants are uptaking and the research that they're performing and the like.
All right, and thank you very much. I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot. I'm just throwing stuff out there. It may not work, but I like the idea. There's a couple of us here that are, or maybe more, that are members of Alameda County Special Districts Association, and to get on their agenda and talk about what we do at the Hayward Shoreline. I think might be a really good topic. I think they'd be very interested in what's going on down there in the shoreline, and we might want to try to get on their agenda at some point. And I'm done. Oh, no, I'm not. It's only 3:30. I can keep going for hours. So I'm wondering, I don't want to take a vote or think about anything, but boy, I would sure love to, boy, Paul, you were the only one involved, but getting down at the Hayward Shoreline Interpretive Center to hold meetings might be a little scary, but it sure is good for your soul to sit there and look out that window and see what you're working on. It's really It's a beautiful exhibit center, interpretive center. You're right there in the heart of the beast that we keep talking about all the time on these Zoom meetings. But when you get down there and you can go outside and see what's occurring, and there's some great interpretive work on sea level rise down there by Jennifer Coney. You know, I hope we're looking towards having in-person meetings again.
Yeah. Would we piggyback on the January 20th walk, that the return to the building, to the interpretive building? And
I'm not sure, Paul. I know it starts at Hayward Shoreline. So, and you know, it's really valuable to get these legislators down there or their staffs down there, but they're all busy, and you know that they start looking at their watch and go, "We've got 20 minutes. Give us your best shot right now."
Yeah.
So we try to get the most scenic spot up on a little hill rise on Hayward Shoreline. We could show them the Hayward Marsh, and we could show them a lot of stuff. And I know the Interpretive Center is an excellent example of what's going to go on with sea level rise, but I think they're just too busy to go on a nice hike. But you know, maybe we could include that, and for people that are willing to go down that far, I'd do it.
well, I'd hope in January that's going to be an in-person. Are we going to maybe the 12th? Are you suggesting January the 12th?
Oh, no, I'm not suggesting anything. I know that it's, you know, it's, everybody's doing hybrid still. I'm wondering, I don't want to get into anybody's comfort level. I'm hoping we make it through this winter time, and January is going to be the heart of the
Yeah,
issue,
you're
I
right.
think, in some cases. But I think for sure in April, God, if we're not out of this, I'm moving to Alaska. But, you know, I'd like to think about it.
Okay.
Anybody else for the good of the order? Robbie, thanks for being here. Congratulations on your promotion. We look forward to working with you.
Director Waspy, before we leave, I see that we do have a member of the public who has raised their hand, so I'd like to call on them before we adjourn. This is Francis Mendoza.
All right, Francis, go ahead.
Thank you all. Just wanted to offer public comment on the Hayward Shoreline Interpretive Center. I agree with you. Dennis is a wonderful place, and I lived and worked there for many years, and wanted to ensure that the programs that have been happening there, they've taken a slip, and wanted to have the focus be back on the environmental education programs that started by Mike Kozlowski many years ago, Adrian DuPont stewarding them over these many years. You mentioned Jennifer Coney's wonderful exhibits there, and also just sort of just dismayed at the lack of funding, resources, and public education programs that have sort of taken the wayside because of COVID, but has sort of shown that it's a cost-cutting effort for HARD and other organizations as well. So thank you so much for your time. I just wanted to point that out, and I'd love to be able to join that January 20 meeting.
Great, Francis. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, the January 20th meeting will be a public meeting. It'll be publicly noticed, and the public is welcome to come.
Great. Well, anyone else? I don't see any hands up. Hearing nothing else. Have a wonderful holiday season, you guys. Hope to see you soon. Take care. We're adjourned.